What if your morning latte could fund a tree instead of your guilt, without costing you more than your coffee? Meet Aaron, a 30-something finance exec in Singapore who loves his morning kopi and weekend hikes, but hates feeling like his money is destroying both. He'd sip his latte, scroll the news about deforestation or air pollution, and think, am I part of the problem? Yet, when he tried to go green, everything felt either preachy or prohibitively expensive. So he embarked on a journey to green his lifestyle without sacrificing joy or break the bank. Over 8 steps, he transformed tiny daily habits and modest investments into eco-conscious routines that supported his values, his wallet, and yes, his weekend bliss. This isn't about moral grandstanding. It's about small green shifts that compound into serious impact. And they don't require guilt, just creativity. Latte guilt versus latte purpose. Aaron was in a toxic relationship with his daily kopi. Every morning at 8:05 a.m., without fail, he'd hand over $5 to his favorite cafe and receive joy in a paper cup. It was ritual, religion, and survival fuel. But each sip came with a side of shame. Because while the coffee was strong, the eco-guilt was stronger. Plastic lid, disposable cup, single-use straw. Multiply that by 20 workdays. And he wasn't just burning cash. He was low-key torching the planet. Cue existential dread. But was Aaron going to give up his kopi and morph into some kind of caffeine monk? Absolutely not. He had 2 goals: save the world and stay awake in meetings. So, like a true millennial with a conscience and a budget, he upgraded to a reusable thermal cup. He even picked one with a motivational quote, "Save the Earth. It's the only planet with kopi." He started refusing the lid, saying no straw, thanks, and politely judging the people behind him who didn't. The cafe staff got used to it. Some even offered discounts. Victory. Slowly, the kopi became more than a caffeine fix. It became his tiny, caffeinated protest, his little act of rebellion against throwaway culture. And then came the wild idea. What if every habit, even the ones that seem harmless or indulgent, could be tweaked just a little to do more good? And to start, pick one daily habit you enjoy and green it, whether it's a tea, lunch, or commute. Tell me what you picked in the comments. Green shopping with smarter style. Aaron's wardrobe used to read like a fast fashion crime scene. The usual suspects. Graphic tees that shrunk after one wash, pants that pilled by the third wear, and sneakers that somehow aged 10 years in 3 months. Every few weeks, he'd impulse buy something cute on sale, only to forget he owned it until the closet door threatened to explode. One Sunday, after watching a documentary about the fashion industry's environmental impact, spoiler, it's horrifying, he stood in front of his mirror and thought, who am I dressing for? Climate anxiety? Enter the Great Wardrobe Detox. Out went the polyester regrets and impulse buys. In came a capsule wardrobe built around neutral tones, durable fabrics, and outfits that made him feel like he had his life together, even if his plants were dying. He shifted to thrifting at local charity stores and sustainable brands that didn't cost the GDP of a small nation. Bonus points. Everything he bought now came with a story. Like the vintage denim jacket from a store run by retirees who called him Young Man. Repairs became a thing too. Ripped jeans, he sewed them. Missing buttons, he learned to replace them. Suddenly, mending became meditative. Instead of buying new, he fixed the old and flexed it on social media. Stitch and save shopping became slower, more intentional, and more rewarding. He wasn't just saving money, he was saving space, stress, and fabric from landfills. Plant-powered pantry, Mew. Aaron's idea of a balanced diet used to be something beige and probably deep-fried. But when the doctor said he might want to chill on the cholesterol, and a friend casually mentioned the carbon footprint of meat, he decided to experiment with Meatless Mondays. The first attempt was a disaster: microwaved frozen veggie nuggets and sad broccoli. He cried. His taste buds cried harder. But Aaron was nothing if not stubborn. He started experimenting. Tempeh curry? Surprisingly good. Chickpea laksa? Mind-blowing. He hit up local farmers markets and discovered vegetables he couldn't pronounce, but learned to cook through YouTube rabbit holes. What started as a reluctant health pivot turned into a full-on food obsession. His pantry got a green makeover: lentils, tofu, herbs, sauces, eco-friendly storage jars, like he was on an HGTV show no one asked for. Turns out, plant-forward didn't mean boring. It meant colors, spices, variety. It also meant saving money, especially when he bought dry goods in bulk. His grocery bill shrank. His kitchen joy expanded. Oh, and his meat-loving friends? They started inviting him over for plant-based potlucks. Look who's the sustainable Gordon Ramsay now. Smart investing. ESG ETFs. Aaron had always thought investing was something rich people did with money they didn't care about. But after several late-night scrolling sessions about climate change and eco-disasters, he had a thought. What if my money is working against everything I say I care about? His bank wasn't helping. His mutual fund had fossil fuel investments. His savings felt stagnant. His green guilt was now creeping into his CPF dreams. So he did what all good millennials do when they're lost. Googled obsessively. He discovered ESG investing, environmental, social, and governance-based portfolios. Turns out, you can grow your wealth and not destroy the planet at the same time. Who knew? Aaron dived into ESG ETFs. These weren't just boring stocks. These were funds that filtered out companies destroying rainforests or exploiting workers. His investments suddenly had morals. He opened a robo-advisor account, allocated a percentage to ESG funds, and watched his money grow with less existential dread. He could check performance metrics and sustainability metrics. He felt like a financial Batman, using his money for good, minus the cape. Every time he contributed to his green portfolio, it felt less like saving and more like activism. He was investing in the kind of world he actually wanted to retire into. Bonus. It made financial sense too. Turns out, ethical companies tend to be more stable. And with climate regulations on the rise, sustainable investments aren't just idealistic, they're strategic. The passive income plot twist. Aaron always assumed passive income was just a fancy way of saying influencer brand deals, or renting out your spare condo. He had neither a large audience nor spare square footage. But then he stumbled onto dividend stocks while stalking a Reddit thread titled "How I Retired at 38 and Still Eat Avo Toast." Color him intrigued. He discovered that some stocks pay you regularly just for owning them, like they're thanking you with money. Passive income, but make it classy. He started small, investing in a few dividend-paying companies through a Singaporean brokerage that didn't feel like it was designed in 2003. As his portfolio grew, those tiny monthly payouts started to feel like breadcrumbs of freedom. Each payout felt like validation. You're doing something right. Even if you bought oat milk instead of regular. Even if your HDB lighting makes you look haunted. And the best part? He didn't have to do anything once it was set up. He called it his lazy money. Like money that goes to work in sweatpants while he sleeps. Aaron was officially in his softcore FIRE era. Financial independence, retire eventually. Energy vampires and the Great Power Bill uprising. Aaron's electricity bill used to arrive like a horror story in envelope form. Despite living solo and being very much not a nightclub, his utility costs were scandalous. He began an investigation. Turns out, appliances were draining power even when turned off. Phantom energy. He felt personally attacked. He armed himself with smart plugs, LED bulbs, and a spreadsheet. His inner energy nerd was activated. He labeled everything high drain, always on, appliance I pretend I use but don't. He even tackled his aircon usage, switched to ceiling fans, kept windows open when the weather didn't feel like Satan's sauna. His mom thought he was being dramatic. His wallet disagreed. And the bill? It dropped. Not drastically, but enough to make him fist pump like he just defeated a final boss in an RPG. He celebrated by making cold brew at home and basking in the glow of an energy-efficient lamp. The moral? You don't need to live like a hermit to save power. Just a few tweaks. a mild obsession with settings, and maybe a passive-aggressive sticky note reminding you to off the switch. Compost diaries and the trash epiphany. Aaron used to toss everything, food scraps, egg cartons, half-dead succulents, straight into the black hole of his trash bin. Then one day, his friend gifted him a countertop compost bin. "It's like a pet," she said, "but smellier and more judgmental." He was skeptical until he realized how much waste he produced just from meal prepping. Banana peels, carrot tops, coffee grounds. His trash was basically a salad bar, so he tried composting. The first week was gross. There were smells. There were fruit flies. But then, something magical happened. The bin filled with dark, rich, crumbly soil. He felt like a wizard. He started giving away compost to plant parent friends. One of them called him Aaron the Earth Whisperer. He briefly considered putting that on LinkedIn. Suddenly, waste wasn't just garbage. It was potential. And every time he composted, he felt a tiny sense of victory over the landfill system. Like, take that, plastic era. It wasn't a huge lifestyle change, but it changed how he saw everything. Trash wasn't just waste. It was a consequence of how he lived. And now, he was living differently. One decomposing banana at a time. The unexpected joy of doing less. Aaron's final transformation wasn't in his bank account or his recycling habits. It was in his calendar. Because saving the planet and money sounds noble. Until burnout eats you alive and you wake up with climate anxiety and 3 side hustles you forgot you signed up for. So he did the unthinkable. He did less. He unsubscribed from productivity guilt. He stopped doom-scrolling eco-disasters and started reading actual books. He said no to projects that didn't align with his values. He took naps. Glorious, world-saving naps. He realized minimalism wasn't just about owning fewer things. It was about doing less of what didn't matter, like impulse buys, toxic social media comparison, or pretending to care about crypto. By simplifying his schedule, Aaron found room for his hobbies again. He sketched. He cooked. He spent time with friends without mentally calculating how much he was spending per minute. And guess what? His spending dropped. His energy returned. And his life, finally, felt full in a quiet, meaningful way. Sometimes, the most radical thing you can do isn't hustle harder. It's slow down, unplug, and sip your coffee while watching your compost do absolutely nothing. So, what did we learn from Aaron and his slightly chaotic but delightfully compost-scented journey? That saving the world doesn't require you to become a barefoot, kombucha-brewing forest elf overnight. And building wealth doesn't require a finance degree, a 6-figure income, or the ability to say diversified ESG ETF portfolio without sounding like a robot. It just takes awareness, tiny decisions, a little courage to care, a willingness to ask better questions, like, do I need this? Instead of, is it on sale? Aaron didn't reinvent himself. He just got real. With his money, with his lifestyle, and with his values. And you can too. If this story felt like your sign from the universe, or at least from me, your digital gremlin of truth, then do something about it. Start a green savings jar. Check your energy bill like it's tea from your ex. Compost something, even if it's just that soggy lettuce in the fridge. And most importantly, subscribe, follow, and binge the Make Money, Don't Kill the Planet playlist. Because passive income and conscious living aren't mutually exclusive. They're soulmates. Now go forth and be the financially savvy, slightly smug, eco-friendly legend you were meant to be. I believe in you, but also I'll be watching your utility bill.